Hello. Welcome once again to the Turret of Pleasure. I am your host, Zipgun, the Lord Chamberlain of the Enchanted Kingdom, and I am that sucker. Less and less, but I am that sucker. Because today I finally copped out. I did it sort of in a roundabout way, but I managed to acquire the latest of the Frank Zappa 50th anniversary celebrations, One Size Fits All, which is, in my estimation, one of his very best records. It was the kind of culmination, if you will, of what many consider to be his best and most accomplished band. I'm one of those. I think it was as good a band as he ever had. And it's funny because he had made three records previous to this that had done very well in the marketplace. He did Overnight Sensation, which had everything but a hit single. And then he had Apostrophe, which was his solo album, and that almost had a hit single. And then he did a live album, Roxy and Elsewhere, which didn't have any hit singles, but actually sold well on the sort of groundswell of popularity that the previous two records had given him. So this record was expected to be kind of the after Roxy record, and it would get him, back up to where he was doing with, let's say, Apostrophe. And it didn't quite happen in the marketplace. And it's not because it's a bad record, because it's not. It's a terrific record. And he spent a lot of time and energy on this record. It's one of the very, very best sounding Zappa albums out of his entire catalog. Parts of it were recorded, I believe, at Caribou Ranch, which was kind of a misbegotten kind of. It was. I'm not sure exactly why they did it, but it wasn't an experience that everybody loved, and it created tensions and set up little roadblocks to progress. This is again by Amit Zappa. It features, these are now you can almost predict what's going to be in these. First of all, you're going to get the brand new remaster of the album. It is, needless to say, wonderful. The last word, if you will. It's a good package. It's a clamshell, and it's they've sort of figured these out too. The inside of the clamshell, getting all the stuff out of here first, is essentially, this was a gatefold album. It's got a great cover, by the way. It's a wonderful cover. And the inside of the album was basically that. Lyric sheets, all that stuff, all the credits you need. Now this is on the back of the box when you see it in the record store. I like the fact that it comes off. You can put it in here. But if you want, you can put it on the back or whatever, I don't know. So you know what's where and you don't have to look through the individual little thingies to see what song is where. Or look through the booklet. There's many, many choices. Again, strangely, and this seems to be common to this series, the Blu-ray is in a funny envelope. The Blu-ray is, of course, all of these now have Blu-rays in them. The Blu-ray gives you surround mixes, an original quad mix of Sofa, a couple of videos, what I call special audio. And these are the hook for this particular sucker because I'm a quad nut. And the fact that Frank mixed this one song for quad, but by then he was kind of not sold on quad. Apparently there's a quad mix for Roxy, which I'd like to hear. So what you have is that Blu-ray. You then have disc 1, which is the remaster, plus extra tracks, different mixes. They're kind of sneaky because Ralph stuffs his shoes is actually just can't afford no shoes. I don't think there's any truly unreleased stuff here. Disc 2 is more of the same. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I'm sort of guessing here. But if I remember correctly, yeah, disc 2 is like Pajama People Old Mix, Florentine Pogan Rough Mix. I sort of skipped through this. These are... I haven't listened to the whole thing all the way through. I know there's going to be things where I go, oh, like Something Anything Rough Mix. That turned into something else too. Disc 3, now this is where we get fun. This was the 6-piece band, and they're playing in the Netherlands. So disc 3 is disc 1 of that concert. Disc 4 is the second half, plus there's a couple of Swedish songs, Ralph Stuffs His Shoes and Pajama People from Sweden. These are all in much better audio than most leavings of this sort in the rock music business, because Zappa took greater care at recording his concerts than most coke-snorting rock stars. He spent all his money in his ears, he said. And so what you basically have is you have the last word on this album. You have every conceivable outtake you would want. You have 2 very representative concerts. Well, no, one really representative concert plus some bonus tracks from the 6-piece band, which did not include Ruth, because I think Ruth... Now, who's in the 6-piece again? It was modified from the previous band. And this was basically it. After this sequence of events, this band was no more. And Terry Bozzio came in. What have we got here? I should have had this ready, but I didn't. Here we go. Yeah, 6-piece. Oh, Ruth is in it. Frank Zappa, George Duke, Napoleon Murphy Brock, Ruth Underwood, Tom Fowler, Chester Thompson. That's the 6-piece. So that's a very good band. Nice to have. I'll take any and all recordings by that band. There's every concert's slightly different. Zappa was not the kind of guy to stick to a set list. And like I say, the sound is more than acceptable. This was $75, which luckily didn't cost me that. So it's not bad. It's $20 a disc, basically. But the package is great. The presentation is wonderful. It's never going to get re-released, that's for sure. This is it. So with all of these now, I'm never left with the feeling like, geez, if only they would have done this a little differently. And you know they'll never get fixed, because this is the last word in physical media for these things. But I would give this, an A+, and it's a great record. The notes are really good. The notes are a little bit iffy in these things. There's a reminiscence by Ruth Underwood that hints at problems in her life at that time. But there's also a really illuminating thing in here that I didn't know, which it's got me sort of going down a rabbit hole here. Because I'm a big fan of Zappa's record labels. And he initially had Straight Bizarre, and he did a lot of production for both of those, really. And so when Straight and Bizarre, I think there was a 3-year contract, if I remember correctly. And so when that contract was over, it sort of morphed. The 2 of them morphed into Discreet. And Discreet, on the surface, looked the same. This is David Fricke. I'd like to know more about this. So One Size Fits All was going to come out. Zappa meets with the label. The artists wish to issue the LP through the parent company, Warner Brothers, instead of his subsidiary label, Discreet, founded in 1973 with longtime manager Herb Cohen. Now this is a quote. This quote is telling. Discreet is a company that has previously released my records, Zappa explained to Disc's David Fudger when he got back to his hotel room that evening. As far as me producing things for it is concerned, I've avoided it very carefully. Unlike his earlier imprints, Bizarre and Straight, where he found and produced many of the acts, Zappa had little interest in the rest of Discreet's roster. A motley second-tier bunch, guitarist Ted Nugent, folk singer Kathy Dalton, LA boogie band Growl, mostly signed by Cohen and supported by Zappa's income. Besides, Zappa curtly noted, quote, "My efforts on behalf of other artists producing their records are seldom appreciated," unquote. So that's interesting. Now, I have heard other stories that Zappa was trying to get Joe Smith of Warner Brothers to put out, and it might have been this record, put out one of his records just to bypass Discreet, because Discreet was too, it wasn't working out for him, and he wasn't getting enough promotion. And Joe Smith said, well, with bands like Growl, how are we supposed to promote this? And Zappa's like, what the hell are you talking about? And he'd never heard of Growl. And it turned out that, your label just put this record out, and it's, how am I supposed to promote this? And Zappa's like, hey, Herb, what's going on here? And apparently Herb did this all the time. He just signed somebody for whatever reason and put them out on the label that was essentially, he was a partner in. Anyways, this led to the giant Herb Cohen, Frank Zappa lawsuit shitstorm that happened not too long after this record came out. And then there was the lather sessions, and it's just a complete, somebody's got to write a book about it. It's a real mess. But having said that, this record, this was the last studio record on Discreet that Zappa oversaw and supervised. His mix and everything. Everything else was either the Contractual Obligation records, Studio Tan, Sleep Dirt, Orchestral Favorites, or the Live in New York record, which Warner's monkeyed with, and which apparently got him off Warner Brothers. That was the sort of, because they weren't allowed to monkey with his masters, and they just took a song off. They said, well, we can't put it on the Punky's Whips. So there you have it. There's a whisper or a smell in the air, if you will, that the next box is going to be Bongo Fury, because this band kind of morphed into the Bongo Fury band with Bosio and Denny Wally, I believe, was in that band, and a few other people. So that would be nice. I'd like to see a Bongo Fury box, although I'm not optimistic that there'll be that much more beef-art on it, so we shall see. As for this, I give it an A+. It's great. There's nothing really to complain about it. If anything, it's got more stuff than I'll ever need. So I'm not that hard or not that easy to please. And I think they've done it really well. The notes are great. Can't really fault it in any way. Hopefully it stays in print for long enough for everybody who likes to buy it. Because I waited to buy it, and I think it was a better price than if I would have bought it when it came out. So anyway, there you have it. I am that sucker. I bought it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the button that tells you that I've made a new one of these. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care of each other, and we'll get through this year in one piece. Thanks for watching.